Mr. Speaker, sir, Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Leader of the Opposition, Honorable Members of Parliament and people of Fiji, I endorse and commend the appropriation bill and congratulate the Attorney General and the Minister of Economy and Civil Service and his team for delivering a well-planned and coordinated 2021-2022 budget to support our economic recovery. A brave budget, a sensible budget. This is a critical budget because we are being tested as a country like never before. We've had natural disaster after natural disaster, coupled with a pandemic that has impacted us for over a year. We've had job losses and loss of livelihoods for a lot of our people. And as I said, we are being tested as never before. We are being led by a government that is not only resilient, but far-looking and decisive. We are focused not only on addressing COVID and saving lives, but at the same time addressing the consequences of COVID on our long-term sustainability as a country. Government is helping families meet basic needs like food items, connecting them with programs that can help guide those who are out of work through applying for financial assistance, encouraging our citizens to practice self-care, even if it's just taking a few minutes for themselves or going for a walk or getting plenty of rest, providing awareness programs on social distancing and hygiene. Members of the opposition have referred to what government does as freebies. This implies that the people getting this assistance don't really need it. Are they suggesting that we do not provide food rations, that we do not subsidize water and electricity rates for those whose family income is less than $30,000 a year, that we do not provide sanitary pads for our young girls, that we do not provide assistance to purchase data for school children whose schoolwork at this time is so dependent on computers and being online? Is this official SODELPA doctrine? Is this your grand plan to deny assistance to those who need it? Government cares for all in Fiji, seen in education, social welfare, water, electricity, unemployment benefits, assistance to micro, small, and medium enterprises. These are not freebies. This is looking after the needs of those who need it and putting the interests of ordinary Fijians first. The Ministry of Lands and Mineral Resources has been allocated the total budget of 2.2 million, a reduction of 1.7 million. Ministry staff under the leadership of the Permanent Secretary are innovating to make use of this money to the best of their ability. They're tapping into opportunities and potential so that we can effectively and efficiently administer, develop and manage all our state land initiatives, including our country's mineral sector and groundwater resources. We will look to strike the right balance between the fulfillment of our role, supporting and encouraging economic activities, and at the same time ensuring that we protect our environment and manage the environment well. We will continue our emphasis on supporting the development of the commercial agricultural sector and agro-processing by speeding up the process of land accessibility. We have reviewed and improved our processes for land accessibility. We have called upon every ounce of our creativity and innovativeness ever since COVID first came knocking. We have revised our SOPs for the second time as a result, placing importance in effective criteria for the allocation of lots on advertised state land. Bill 16, that is one of the consequential bills, that removes the need to seek consent from the ministry for issues such as consents, mortgages, caveats, etc. This is just a step also to speed up our processes. In the year 2018 to 2019, there were a total of 3,650 such dealings, more than 10,000 over these past few years. 70% of these dealings were accomplished within the 10-day time frame. And yes, there have been cases in the past where it has taken months and even years, even though there's been a gradual improvement over the years. These delays will now become a thing of the past. Processes will be faster, and at the same time, the ministry will make its own adjustment so that it can keep track of all of our leases. Bill 16 on the State Land Act does not change the state's ownership rights of state land. And this is also true for Bill 17, which does not diminish the rights of TLTB over the land that it manages in trust for Itoke landowners. $150,000 is provided for the Fiji Land Information System to cater for the consistent maintenance and updating of the system. This has allowed us to assist other ministries, Ministry of Rural and Maritime Development and NDMO, during the cyclones, Winston, Yasa, and Anna, and also the Ministry of Health during this pandemic through the use of our geospatial expertise. That assistance has helped both ministries make sound, informed decisions and allow them to develop effective strategies using this GIS expertise that we have. 45,000 is allocated for the land harmonization exercise, where we continue to harmonize land data on the system with what actually exists on the ground. This year, we have been able to roll out the initial phase of our online lessee viewer platform. This platform will allow lessees to view their state lease details, the rental statements, and payment online through the systems that we have. Our Mineral Resources Department has compiled geological GIS data packages on mineral resources available for possible extraction. This makes it easier for potential investors to decide whether to invest in this sector. 1.62 million has been allocated for groundwater assessment and development for large and small islands. Through this, Fijians in the maritime and remote drought-stricken rural communities in the large islands get access to clean drinking water. For the current financial year, we have targeted to develop this for 175 households, housing more than 800 people, and have also reticulated water from these groundwater sources to more than 197 households for slightly below 900 people. So this emphasis on groundwater extraction and use for the benefit of people will continue. And we are also finalizing our national groundwater resource management and development policy to ensure that we have sustainable use and management of groundwater resources. An allocation of 60,000 continues our improvement efforts in the collection of revenue and arrears. To help out our lessees who are under stress, we have extended the waiver of interest on rental arrears for those who have defaulted in payments. The most recent one was approved by the Minister of Economy for 12 months, effective from November 2020. And for those that cannot make lump sum payments, we have also made payment arrangements with them. But we will also track down lessees who tend to take advantage of the system and have defaults on their rental payments. We will continue to focus on maintaining as much good agricultural land as possible for agriculture and continue to improve on the speedy processing of expired leases to ensure security of tenureship. We remain committed to see that all state agricultural land is provided to those that will plant on it. Specific importance is also given to the allocation and identification of state land for high return investments, because this creates wealth and also provides job opportunities for our people. We have commenced work on upgrading our national seismological networks after the purchase of equipment so that our warnings on earthquakes and seismological events are timely and accurate. An allocation of 40,000 will allow us to continue the kind of work that was done post-TCIASA for Nampawatu village in Maduata. This is in terms of geotechnical assessments. And members will recall that this village had landslips which resulted in cracks on the ground, make it unsafe for continued habitation. We continue to update the Vanua GIS that will allow people to analyze geographical data online without having to visit government ministries to obtain land information. Such assistance was very critical for the Ministry of Health. The Ministry will continue its work in monitoring the sustainable use of our natural resources, looking at foreshore development activities through the consideration of sustainable mangrove management, sand and gravel extraction using our natural resources offices, groundwater extraction rates and its use, illegal land dealings, and also the exploration and quarrying and mining operations. Turning now, Mr. Speaker, sir, to infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, sir, there has been a significant reduction in the budget for the infrastructure sector, which includes the Ministry of Infrastructure, Water Authority of Fiji, and the Fiji Roads Authority, a reduction of more than $50 million. The Ministry of Infrastructure and Meteorological Services has been given a budget of slightly over $23 million for its activities. Policies, it is also heavy focus on developing policies and continuing to upgrade policies. Some of the policies in place include the National Energy Policy, the Fiji Electrification Policy, the Biofuel Policy, and the National Water and Sanitation Policy, and the Rural Water and Sanitation Policy. $1 million is committed to carrying out maintenance and upgrade of government-owned buildings. This will include upgrading of water and sewer lines to public buildings, including government offices and quarters. Ministry is also investing in the upgrading of its building software to improve the quality and time taken to deliver and design the costing of projects. We remain committed to our target of ensuring 100% access to electricity and also to our target of increasing renewable energy in electricity to 100% by the year 2030. The Department of Energy has been allocated the total sum of $8.3 million to undertake its core role. 4.3 million of this will be used for ongoing house wiring projects rolled over to the new financial year. An additional 6.3 million is provided under Head 50 for grid extension and house wiring to be managed by EFL. 1.12 million is budgeted for completion of the rehabilitation of diesel schemes for relocated communities and reconstructed homes. This will enable rural people to have better health, well-being, security, and improved resilience to climate change and natural disaster. 491,000 has been allocated to the Department of Water and Sewerage to deliver its role of formulating and managing national water and sanitation policies, to monitor all water and sanitation systems, including water and effluent quality in both urban areas as operated by the Water Authority of Fiji and also in rural areas. And these are in line with our national development goals of ensuring access to clean and safe water by every Fijian household, as well as contributing to the achievement of SDG 6. Our meteorological services has been allocated a total amount of 4.84 million to provide timely and quality weather, climate and hydrological information to the general public. As we approach the cyclone season, the Fiji Met is gearing up and getting ready to ensure that they are up to speed in weather forecasting, in hydrological assessments, forecasting of coastal inundation, and also of flooding forecasts. Part of their budget will be used for the completion of the Viwa Island Station to improve the living and working conditions of our staff on the island and to protect the instruments and the equipment that we have there. It is essential for our network to ensure that we have consistent weather reporting. The ministry is focused on improving our key processes that will improve service delivery. We are also promoting community and government partnership programs in our bid to improve our service delivery in the rural communities. 194.9 million has been allocated to the Water Authority of Fiji for their important role. WAF's strategic plan for the period 20 to 25 will guide the organization towards fulfilling its vision and mission over the next 4 years. This current financial year has been a challenging one for WAF due to the COVID-19 situation, the cyclones, and the flooding. WAF has had to relook its business operations. This has brought about new and innovative business strategies. For the new financial year, WAF is focused on more capacity and resilience building upgrades to our existing infrastructure to make sure that it can manage when disruptions do occur, because the disruptions will happen. It is also focused on making sure that our existing assets last longer and serve a longer service life through modern asset management processes. Through such improved operations, we will be able to ensure regulatory, environmental, statutory, and financial compliance. We are earmarking a number of key projects for this new financial year. Under the new Rewa River water system, we're allocating $65 million to continue with the ongoing construction of the new 40 megaliter water treatment plant at Viria, the construction of the 10 megaliter reservoir at Waitolu, and pipe installation of over 26 kilometers of pipeline from Viria to Waila. This new water project will benefit over 300,000 people, 24/7 for Fijians living within the Suwa-Nosori corridor, and it will increase service coverage to upcoming residential subdivisions. The overall project is approximately 41% complete for the design, build, and contract, and 32% for the gravity mains contract, and the new treatment plant and reservoir is expected to be commissioned in December of 2022. 20.25 million is allocated to complete the ongoing construction and installation of the 20 megaliter Nangando package, the 3 megaliter Wunindawa package plant, and the 5 megaliter Nambawalu package plant that will benefit over 53,000 people within these communities. $7.3 million will be used to stabilize our main critical water pipelines that transport raw water to treatment facilities throughout the 3 regions, benefiting over 145,000 people. And 1.5 million will be used to overhaul, supply, and install critical parts of the 3 desalination plants currently supplying water to the dry southern end of Taveuni. That will benefit over 2,000 people. 13.75 million has been set aside for expansion and laying of new water pipes. 5.7 million for the Nawaizomba pump station and the rising main to cater for the 2x6 megaliter reservoirs built at Nawaizomba Hill. This project will ensure that Fijians living within the southwestern peripheries of the Nandi Lautoka Regional Water Supply Scheme, with a population of over 10,000 people, receive normal water supply. $8.7 million has been received for the purchase of new backup generators for crucial sites across our three regions, because most of these sites rely on-grid power, and having this in place allows them to be able to kick in during power failures. WEF has also incurred additional operation costs such as water cutting and wastewater bailing, and these new gensets and electrical updates are critical to saving some of these operational costs. $2.95 million has been received for the ongoing non-review water activities and programs. This includes the procurement of new and replacement meters, the repair of leaking service pipes, continuation of leak detection works, pressure management through the installation of pressure-reducing valves and boundary valves. This allocation will enable WEF to reduce leaks to manageable levels and increase revenue generation through meter replacement programs. $4.49 million has been received for 40 new rural projects in villages, settlements, and communities in rural areas. And these include 10 sites with ecological purification systems. The 40 projects will benefit over 9,850 people in the rural areas. $1.5 million has been received for rural water cutting to non-metered areas, which includes rural and maritime areas. $2.25 million has been received for ongoing land acquisition of pipeline easements and sites that are still under the Ministry of Lands that need to be transferred to Water Authority. Money has been set aside to acquire, safeguard, and protect development catchment management plans for some major catchment sites for water intakes in Suva and Nandi, and there's $6.8 million allocated for the ongoing contract at the Kinoya wastewater treatment plant. $1.2 million has been allocated for the restoration of the collapsed zero gravity main at Admirable Drive in Pacific Harbor, benefiting almost 7,000 people. WEF is now focused on embarking on a cultural transformation program and trying to strengthen and improve organization performance. The Fiji Roads Authority, Mr. Speaker, sir, has been given a budget of $272.4 million to advance its physical works, to organize future initiatives, and importantly, to preserve the existing infrastructure. $72.8 million will be used for the routine maintenance of existing infrastructure. That includes grass cutting, drain cleaning, replacement of the potholes, grading of unsealed roads, streetlet maintenance, bridge maintenance, jetty maintenance, and so forth. $50 million will be used for the resurface, and $70 million is allocated for the full construction of Queens and Kings Roads, which includes Foster Road. $15 million has been allocated to complete the ongoing rural roads. FRA will not be starting any physical works on new rural access roads in this financial year. However, much of the effort will be put to getting the survey and design completed so that we are ready to execute when the time comes. $34 million will be used to build receipt. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition stated there is very little to show the money that has been invested in roads under FRA. Nothing is further from the truth. Since FRA has come into being, 198 kilometers of unsealed roads have been sealed. 880 kilometers of sealed roads have been reconstructed and resurfaced. 12 kilometers of two-lane roads have been widened to four-lane roads, with upgraded service lines and EFL cables placed underground for greater resilience. Over 100 kilometers of new rural roads have been constructed. Over 300 low-level crossings and modular bridges put in place for the rural community. And over the past few months, you will have seen the 150 kilometers of roads that have been resurfaced and reconstructed around the country. In this session, Mr. Speaker, sir, we have had a lot of criticism from the opposition, but they have not presented any meaningful suggestions on what to do. It seems they are devoid of constructive ideas. They have presented no alternatives. Where is their alternate budget? Nothing. Zilch.
Here.
On one hand, they complain.
Tell them.
On the other hand, their request for more money to be spent on some particular issue. They have not come up with anything. Can they do it? Can they come up with creative ideas? Or is their skill set limited to throwing stones to criticizing? Honorable Tambuya started off this misinformation about Bill 17. I listened to her original message on social media, and a number of issues she says. She said that the authority of TLTB to awarded leases has been removed. That is a lie. She also said that the lessee will decide the amount of lease to be paid. That is another blatant lie. Third, she said that there will be reduction in the amount of money that land-owning units earn from leasing of their land. That is also a lie. So all this hullabaloo has been based on statements that are lies. This is fear-mongering, fake lies, blatant lies. We're seeing that on social media. Ethnic slurs are being bandied around, all supported by the number of statements that have been made that are not factual. We see the same thing that happened prior to the 2014 election and prior to the 2018 elections, trying to scare the Itoke population. Honorable members, let us be honorable. Let us speak truth at all times. Be factual. Before we say anything on social media, think about it. Make sure that what you say is factual. Think about its impact on Fiji. Dealing with COVID is not just about facing the battle of COVID. For 17 months now, government has been urging all Fijians to hand wash, to socially distance and wear masks. We have brought Care Fiji into being, and we have seen members of the opposition badmouth this. We now have the vaccine in Fiji, thanks to our friends. And yet again, we hear some members of the opposition badmouth this, bringing in perceived conspiracy theories, 666, Illuminati, One World Order, a whole lot of absolute worthless conspiracy based on thin air imagination. It is all imaginary, but it is affecting our people. They believe all these imaginary lies. Many are reluctant to vaccinate because of this. And this has exacerbated this COVID situation. The spreading of such is not patriotic. It harms our country. We must not let it happen. We will win the COVID battle. We will not only win that battle, but we will also eventually win the war to re-establish life and livelihoods. And that, Mr. Speaker, must be our focus. This budget is doing precisely that. And that is why I fully support this budget. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you, Honourable Minister.